Welcome back, friends and students. We have started with chapter number 1, Reproduction in Organism, and today we are conducting the fourth session. In the previous session, we have learned regarding the sexual reproduction. I hope you all are aware regarding the sexual reproduction. I just repeat in a brief so you may aware regarding the sexual reproduction. You know that the characteristic of sexual reproduction requires the involvement of two parents. Apart from that, it also involves a fusion of gamete, male and female gamete. Means the process occurs with the formation of a gamete. And as the fusion of gamete occurs, the offsprings which are going to be produced, they are not identical, but they are similar looking copies. And this process is slow, complex and more elaborate process compared to asexual reproduction. Now today we start with the events in sexual reproduction. Many living organisms can reproduce by sexual reproduction. If you compare them, if you compare their structure, external structure, which morphology, internal structure, anatomy, and if you compare its physiology, they have a different structures, morphologically as well as anatomically. Even they also have a different functions. But yes, when it comes to a sexual reproduction, the processes or the basic events that occurs in a sexual reproduction is mostly same. So, for easiness, the events in the sexual reproduction can be categorized into three parts. The first is called as pre-fertilization events. Second one is called as fertilization events. And the third one is called as post-fertilization events. Clear? So basically, how many events of sexual reproduction? 3. Pre-fertilization, fertilization and the post-fertilization events. The name itself suggests what is pre-fertilization events. These are the events which occurs before fertilization. They are called as pre-fertilization events. Second, the fertilization event, the main event in a sexual reproduction, the fusion, that is the fertilization event. And the last one is post-fertilization event. That means the events that occurs after fertilization are called as post-fertilization events. Clear? Okay. Now, what the pre-fertilization events includes? The pre-fertilization events includes two processes. First one is called as gametogenesis and the second one is called as gamete transfer. Second one is fertilization, just a fusion, and the post-fertilization events that includes the two parts. First is called as zygote formation and the second one is embryo formation, what we call it as embryogenesis. Clear? Today we will mostly focus on the first event, that is called as pre-fertilization. Even in pre-fertilization, we focus on the gametogenesis. So let's start with the first event, what we call as pre-fertilization. So what is a pre-fertilization event? Pre-fertilization event, that means the events which occurs before fertilization, that's called as pre-fertilization event. As you already know that involves the first step, what we call as gametogenesis. So let's start with the first event in a pre-fertilization. It's a gametogenesis. What is a gametogenesis? Gametogenesis is a word, it's made up of two. Gametes and second one is genesis. So what do you mean by a genesis? Genesis means formation. So what is meaning of gametogenesis? It is formation of a gamete is called as gametogenesis. Clear? Again repeat, what is gametogenesis? Gametogenesis is made up of two words, gametes and genesis. Genesis means formation. Formation of a gamete, it's called as gametogenesis. Here the gametes usually which are going to be produced are of two type of a gamete which are going to be produced, two distinct type of gametes. One is a male gamete and the second one is female gamete. So if you combine this whole concept, so what is called as a gametogenesis? Gametogenesis means a process of formation of two different types of a gamete, male and the female gamete. It's called as a gametogenesis. Okay, so that is a definition of gametogenesis. Remember, always remember a word. Here, gametes are going to be formed, and gametes are haploid in nature. Haploid means it contains how many number of chromosomes? Haploid, that means it contains n number of chromosomes. Remember this line, you have to remember this line throughout your study. Gametes are haploid in nature. Haploid means it contains n number of chromosomes. That is called as gamete, or that is the nature of a gamete. Now see. Here two types of the gametes are going to be produced. So most of the organisms, they produce two different types of a gamete. One is a male gamete and the second one is female gamete. A male produces a male gamete, a female produces a female gamete. What happens usually? But that is not the case in all the organisms. It may happen that the male gamete is produced by the male, female gamete may be produced by the female, but in some instances the male gamete and the female gamete both are produced by the same organism. So that's why we have done in the sexual reproduction, the process occurs with the formation of gamete, but yes, either by the same individual or by the different individuals of opposite sex. So it is not necessary always that male gamete is produced by male only, female gamete is produced by female only. We will also discuss the example where male and female gamete are produced by the same individual, not by two different sexes. So, but usually in most of the times, the male gamete is produced by male and the female gametes are produced by female. If you look the appearance of this male gamete and the female gamete, the appearance of male gamete and female gamete is a different one. Here I have drawn the same one, but it's not like that. The male gamete is male and the female gamete are different in morphological. So male gametes are usually smaller. The female gametes are larger in size. Male gamete is smaller in size, female gamete is larger in size. The male gamete is motile, means they can easily move, whereas the female gamete is sluggish, means it has very difficulty in the movement. The male gamete, what's another name of male gamete? Male gamete can also be called as antherozoid, or it can also be called as sperm, whereas the female gamete can be called as ovum, or it can also be called as egg cell. Okay, so in most of the living organism, male gamete and the female gametes are of different types. What is the difference in between the male and the female gamete? The male gamete is smaller, the female gamete is larger. Male gamete, it is a motile, means easily movable, whereas the female gamete is a sluggish. Male gamete can be called as antherozoid, or it can also be called as a sperm. The female gamete can be called as ovum, or it can also be called as egg. Here see, male gamete and the female gamete, they are different in morphology, or they are different in their appearance. So such type of gametes are called as heterogametes. Heterogametes, and the cases in which the male and female gamete are of similar type, such type of gametes are called as homogametes. It can also be called as isogametes. Okay, these homogametes or isogametes can be found in organisms like algae. In this organism, they are found, homogametes or the isogametes. Again repeat, so what's a heterogametes and homogametes? Heterogametes means the gametes which are differ in their appearance. They are called as heterogametes. Most of the animals, including the human, have a heterogametes. And what is called as a homogametes or the isogametes, means the gametes, male and female gamete, they are so similar in their morphology or the appearance that we cannot distinguish. And such kind of gametes can be found in algae. Okay, so that is a formation of gametes and the types of gametes. Now let's see. So now we proceed ahead in pre-fertilization. Before we start in pre-fertilization, gametogenesis, we discuss the sexuality in the different animals. Understand the basic term. Two type of a living organism. One is unisexual living organism and the second one is called as bisexual living organism. What is unisexual living organism? Unisexual living organism, that means the organism in which male and female reproductive organs are present in two different individuals. This is called as unisexual. Like for an example, human being. Here the male and female reproductive organs are present in two different individuals. Male possess only male reproductive organ, female possess only female reproductive organ. Bisexual organism, that means the male and female reproductive organs are present in the same individual. Such type of organism is called as bisexual organism. Clear? So let's have a look with respect to different examples. We start with the examples of a plant. You know that in a flowering plant, the flower is considered as sexual organ. So have a look about a flower. Assume that this is a flower. If this flower possesses both type of a sexual organ, a male sexual organ stamen and the female sexual organ carpel. See here, it possesses both type of sexual organ, male sexual organ and the female sexual organ in the same flower. Such type of a flower is called as bisexual flower. Okay, here male and female sex organs are present in the same flower. So that's called as bisexual flower. Like unisexual flower. Unisexual flower, that means it possesses only one organ, either male organ or female organ. Like this flower, it possesses only stamen. So stamen is a male reproductive organ. So such flower is called as male flower. Another example. It is female flower. It possesses carpel or pistil. It is called as female flower. Clear? Such type of flowers are called as unisexual flower. Okay, so this is bisexual flower, possess both stamen and pistil in the same individual. Here it's a unisexual flower, that means the male flower possesses only male reproductive organ, stamen, and the female flower possesses the female reproductive organ, it's a carpel. Now, assume that now we learn the two different other terms. One is called as monoecious and the second one is called as dioecious. What is monoecious? Assume that this is a plant. If this plant possesses unisexual flower, means male and female flower are different, but it possesses both type of flower, male flower as well as female flower. Such type of flower is called as monoecious flower. It's dioecious plant. The dioecious plant, that means it possesses either male flower only or female flower. See, have a look about the example. This is a plant. It possesses either male flower, or if you take the another example of it, it possesses only female flower. So this type of plants are called as dioecious plant. Which are the examples of monoecious plant? The examples of monoecious plant are cucurbita and coconut plant. And which are the examples of dioecious plant? The examples of dioecious plant are papaya and date palm tree. So clear the sexuality in the plant, unisexual and bisexual. Unisexual, that means it possesses, these are the unisexual, and this is a bisexual. Bisexual means it possesses both carpel and stamen in the same flower. Okay, and this is monoecious and the dioecious. Now have a look with respect to our animals. Animals. If you look in the animals, also same type, either unisexual animal or the bisexual animal. Majority of the animals are the unisexual, means the animals in which sexes are different. Male has only male reproductive organ, the female has female reproductive organs, including the human being. Like for an example, variety of examples like human being, cockroaches, and birds, and many other frog. Clear? So these are the where there is a unisexual, but there are also few bisexual organisms are also present, in which one organism possesses both organs, male reproductive organ and the female reproductive organ. Like for an example, earthworm, tapeworm, leech, etc. These are the bisexual, means one earthworm, it has both organ, male as well as female reproductive organ. Similarly, it applicable to a tapeworm and the leech. This bisexual organism can also be called as hermaphrodite. What it can also be called as? Hermaphrodite. Okay, so that is about the sexuality in the living organism. Now we go ahead. See here, we are discussing this one. In pre-fertilization, we are discussing gametogenesis, a process of formation of two different types of gametes. This is gametogenesis, male gamete and the female gamete. This is called as gametogenesis. A gamete can be produced by the living organism and that takes part in the sexual reproduction. The living organism which is capable of producing a gamete can be either diploid, means 2n, or it may be haploid, means n. The living organism might be diploid or it may be a haploid. They are capable of producing a gamete. Suppose assume that this is a gamete. You know the characteristic of gamete, what we have learned at the starting of a lecture. Gametes are always haploid. This is diploid organism. This is haploid organism. And this one is a haploid gamete. Now this diploid organism can produce haploid gamete and the haploid organism can produce the haploid gamete. Both are capable of producing the gametes. The organism might be of two types, diploid as well as haploid. But when the diploid organism produces a haploid gamete, that is occurring by a process called as meiosis. Reductional cell division, what you have learned in the 11th standard. Here the process occurs as a meiosis because the chromosome number gets halved from 2 and it becomes an n. Whereas in case of haploid organism produces the haploid gamete by a process called as mitosis, which is again you have learned in the 11th standard. Here it's a process where the chromosome number remains the same in parent and the daughter cell. So remember a line. Diploid organism produces the haploid gamete by a process called as meiosis, and the haploid organism produces the haploid gamete by a process called as mitosis, because the gametes are always haploid, but the organism might be diploid or haploid. Here in meiosis process the reductional division occurs, in mitosis process a somatic division occurs. We start now with So now have a look in the chromosome number of different organisms. You already know that diploid organism produces the haploid gamete by meiosis and haploid organism produces the haploid gamete by mitosis. Students, these are the few examples. Meiocyte is a specialized type of a cell. It is a diploid cell which undergo reductional division, means meiosis, to form a gametes. So meiosis has 2n number of chromosome and gamete has n number of chromosome. These numbers are very important, relates with an exam point of view. So you have to remember these numbers. How many number of chromosomes are present in meiocyte and gamete of different living organism? Like say, very easy example, human being. In the meiocyte of human being, how many number of chromosomes are present? 46, 2n number. And in gamete, how many numbers are present? 23. Clear? Meiocyte of human being contains 46 and gamete of human being contains 23. Means sperm and ovum contains 23 number of chromosomes, but the meiocyte contains 46 number of chromosomes. Similarly, the housefly, the meiocyte contains 12, gametes contains 6 number of chromosomes. Rat, 40 number of chromosomes in meiocyte, 21 number of chromosomes in gametes. Dog, 78 in meiocyte, in gamete 39. Cat, 38 in meiocyte, 19 in gametes. Fruit fly, 8 in meiocyte and 4 in gametes. Similarly, you look after all these things. Now, you have to remember these numbers. Look, note down properly. But there is an easy technique. You remember either of the column, meiocyte or the gamete, whatever you like. Suppose an example, you remember this one, meiocyte. Then in the gamete, you just have to half it, because the gamete contains haploid number of chromosome or half the number of chromosome than the meiocyte. Like I will now ask you, what are the number of chromosomes in meiocyte of apple? Meiocyte of apple contains how many number of chromosomes? It's a meiocyte, so it contains 34. Like I will ask you another example, potato. Gamete of potato, gamete means this one, gamete of potato means half number of chromosome. It possesses how many? 24. I ask one more example, like onion. Meiocyte of onion contains how many number of chromosome? 16. And gamete contains how much? 8. So students, keep looking on this, note down very properly. So this is all about a first event in pre-fertilization, what we call as gametogenesis. Now there is one more event, what we call as gamete transfer. This gamete transfer we will discuss in the next session. It is also event of pre-fertilization. Have a look and note down.